welcome to Live Interactive English. Hello everyone, I'm Mike.
And I'm Sam.
And here we are, part 2, From Tires to Steak Tartare, the surprising tale of the Michelin Guide that of course started from a French tire company that was just trying to sell more tires. So they made a restaurant and hotel guide more than 100 years ago in France. And I guess these were some of the first people to have cars, right?
Yeah.
And it was kind of exciting and it was an adventure. And so on the weekend, you'd pile all your friends in the car and then you would go places, but where would you go and what would you do and where would you eat and where would you stay? Nobody knew. They didn't have GPS or Yelp or any of those apps to recommend places. So they started a guide, and then the guide became basically a restaurant Bible, right?
Yeah.
A place to find the best food, not just in France, but all around the world.
Yeah, and it's pretty cool that something that was started so long ago and has kind of been the standard of this is what we are going to use to say that a restaurant is good or not good for this long and still continuing into the future. And there are many, many, many people who want to be chefs, and their kind of ultimate goal is to be a Michelin star chef or to work at a Michelin star restaurant.
It's like winning in the Olympics.
Yes.
You're an athlete.
Yeah, and then we saw that in the whole world with how many thousands and thousands and thousands of restaurants, and there's only 145 three-star restaurants. And that's a pretty small number. And again, once you get a star does not mean that you will keep your star forever. So it's very, very, very difficult and very competitive and very hard to be a Michelin-starred restaurant or Michelin-starred chef or any of this kind of stuff. So pretty cool that this kind of guide is still around this long, and it's still such a huge honor that people really fight for it.
That's right. What, were there 3 of these restaurants with 3 stars here in Taiwan?
Yes.
So that's pretty cool. All right, let's get into part 2 and find out what is going on.
The Michelin Guide continues to grow and change over time. In 1997, it began handing out the Bib Gourmand Award. This is given to eateries that offer great food at reasonable prices. The move aimed to make quality dining experiences accessible for people on smaller budgets. Another award, the Green Star, was introduced in 2020. It has gone to restaurants that adopt environmentally friendly practices. However, the Michelin Guide isn't just about stars. It's about celebrating food as an art form and helping people discover amazing dishes and new flavors.
All right, so let's get into part 2. We're going to learn about, the Michelin Guide has changed a bit. I mean, it started back in 1900 or something. It's more than 100 years since then, but this is also good if you're going to want to try some Michelin food. You're going to discover that there are actually places you can go that are not super expensive and fancy. In fact, you might even be able to find a Michelin recommended restaurant, maybe without a star, but still Michelin says it's good, and it could be right around the corner in your local night market.
Yes.
So there you go.
So we see in this article it says the Michelin Guide continues to grow and change over time. In 1997, it began handing out the Bib Gourmand Award. So this is something like a little bit different, and we're going to see, just like you said, it could include some stalls or something like that in Taiwan.
Absolutely. I think I've had Bib Gourmand Guabao from Wanhua, and there's a really good Nyoro Mien beef noodle place in Ximen. Not too far from the movie theaters, just a block or two from the Red Theater there. It also had or has a Bib Gourmand Award, very delicious, and it's definitely a place that will not break the bank. It won't empty out your bank account to eat there. It says this is given, the Bib Gourmand Award, this is given to eateries, restaurants, that offer great food at reasonable prices, not very expensive, the type of food that basically anyone can afford. The move aimed to make quality dining experiences accessible for people on smaller budgets, because you don't always want to go out and spend 10,000 NT or even 5,000 or even 2,000 NT on a meal, you can go out and get good food for a couple $100s. That is very accessible to basically anyone. If something is accessible, that means it is easy to get to, it is easy to use, it doesn't have a lot of difficulties involved, you don't need to have special permission to do it or anything like that. Public transportation should be accessible. If you're old, if you have trouble seeing or moving, they have people who can help you, they have things that can lift you or guide you. It's very accessible, it's easy, open, and anyone can use it without a lot of difficulty.
Yes, and so here this bib gourmand is made to make fine dining or nice dining, I guess, or quality dining for people who are on a budget.
Yeah,
and if you're on a budget and you're using a budget, it basically means that you are watching your money and you have your income every month and you're kind of breaking down how much you spend on rent, what you spend on clothes, food, maybe healthcare or anything like that. And you are budgeting it. That's the verb form, is where you're putting your money, this much for this much for this much for this. And then if you're living on a budget, it basically means that you are watching what you're spending and you're being careful. It doesn't always mean that you don't have a lot of money, because sometimes people who have a lot of money are saving for something or planning on something. So they're still living on a budget. It just means that you're being careful with your money and you're not just spending it kind of recklessly. You are watching where the money is going. Yeah. And our example sentence says, I'm on a tight budget, so I can't order the steak. So again, whether I don't have very much money or I have a lot of money, for whatever reason right now, I'm on a tight budget. I'm not spending things recklessly, so I'm not going to order the steak.
There you go. It's a spending plan, in other words. Yeah, and of course, it's good to be on a budget, right? I mean, it just means that you're in control of your money. You're not spending more than you're making, and your money, your bank is healthy. It's kind of like having a healthy eating plan to stay healthy in your body. You have a spending plan to keep your bank account healthy. And yeah, spending a lot of money on a meal is not something that most people can do all the time. Here's another interesting new thing that you'll find in the Michelin Guide. Another award, the Green Star, was introduced in 2020. So just a few years ago. Since it's called the Green Star, you can probably guess what this one's about. It has gone to restaurants that adopt environmentally friendly practices. So it's about eco-restaurants. They have adopted environmentally friendly practices. They may all be vegetarian, I'm not sure. I don't know so much about the Green Star Awards, but it could also be they get their power from solar panels or something like that. Maybe they clean their water. They don't just, dump water away. They use some water to wash their dishes or something like that. But basically, they're really trying to protect the earth as much as possible by also operating a really good restaurant. They've adopted these very green or environmentally or eco-friendly practices. When you adopt something, basically, you take something on that is outside of you, but you take it on as your own. You make it part of you or your life. Often when we use this word, we think about families that might take in a child from other parents, or even a pet. Even an animal. If you bring a pet or a person into your home and make that child or that animal part of your family, you are adopting that child or that pet. We can also do it with habits and different ways of behaving, different ways of living our life. If you adopt a vegetarian diet, that means you've changed from eating meat to now only eating fruits and vegetables and things that don't come from animals. It's something you choose to do, and you've kind of brought it in, you've made it part of who you are. For example, since my operation, I've adopted a new approach to life. I had a heart operation. I used to be unhealthy. Now I eat healthy. I don't smoke. I exercise all the time. I've taken on this new way of living. Now it is part of just what I do and who I am.
Yes, and as we see in the article, it says, however, the Michelin Guide isn't just about stars. It's about celebrating food as an art form and helping people discover amazing dishes and new flavors. So again, the guide, you're not just only looking for what's a 3-star, 2-star, whatever. It also can kind of showcase or show all these interesting restaurants that you might not know or hear about if you don't read the guide.
Absolutely right. And that's one of the best things about following some of these recommendations. You will probably go to places and taste things you have never tasted before. And that's kind of an unusual thing in life. All right, let's take a quick break.
Hello， 大家好，我是 Hanny。我们今天要来看看米其林指南后续的发展变化。在1997年，它开始颁发必比登推介奖。这个奖呢是颁给用合理价格来提供美味食物的餐馆，目的就是让预算比较少的人可以享受到优质的用餐体验。另外一个奖是绿星，这则是在2020年推出，颁发给采用环保做法的餐厅。好，那么单字 budget 表示预算。我们有制定预算才不会乱花钱。那补充一下 reckless 这个形容词 reckless 可以形容鲁莽的、不顾后果的。Sam 老师是用到它的副词 recklessly， 它表示鲁莽地、不顾后果地。下一个单字 adopt， 它是动词，它有采用、采纳或是接受的意思。那这边一个重点，我们进入文法时间。好，这边要介绍的是 hand out something， 这是表达发送、分发，那也可以写作 hand something out， 之后可以接 to 加名词来表达发送对象。举例来说 ，We saw several people handing out flyers。我们看到好几个人在发传单。好，这句话课文中。
The trusted guide also encourages chefs to keep improving and pushing boundaries. They can be inspired by the likes of Joël Robuchon, whose restaurants in 3 different continents earned him a total of 31 stars over his lifetime. As the late chef himself once said,
"There is no such thing as the perfect meal. One can always do better."
all in all, the Michelin Guide is a symbol of excellence. From fancy 3-star destinations to affordable bib gourmand spots, the guide celebrates food in all its forms. Whether you love dining out or just enjoy learning about cooking, the Michelin Guide is an exciting part of the culinary world.
All right, we're back from our break. Of course, the Michelin Guide is great for us, the diners, the customers, the travelers. It points our way to the really good restaurants, some of the best in the world if you want, or with the bib gourmand, some of the cheaper, more affordable places. So for the diners, for the customers, for the eaters, it's great, but it can also be really good for the restaurant owners and workers.
Yes, and so as we see, it says the trusted guide also encourages chefs to keep improving and pushing boundaries.
Interesting.
So this is something that you see quite often. Again, we kind of talked about it a little bit earlier. A lot of chefs who get into this business, their goal is to get to a Michelin star or to work for a Michelin star restaurant or any of that kind of stuff, or work with a Michelin-starred chef or something like that. And so in order to do that, you have to keep getting better and thinking of different interesting ways to create food.
An actor might work harder to win an Oscar, an athlete might work harder to win an Olympic medal, and chefs might be inspired in the same way. Here's a good example. They can be inspired by the likes of Joël Robuchon, or Joel Robuchon, whose restaurants in 3 different continents earned him a total of 31 stars over his lifetime. Wow, he's kind of like who's Michael Phelps, that swimmer guy who won like 200 Olympic medals or something like that. He's kind of like that. He's a massive award winner or massive Michelin star winner. He has restaurants in 3 different continents. There's one here in Taipei, I believe. You can go. Maybe he has 1 star. I'm not sure. And also, he's famous for his mashed potatoes.
Oh, really?
His mashed potatoes, they're like, I don't know, they're like a potato-y ice cream.
Ooh,
they're the richest, nicest mashed potatoes you've ever experienced. It's all about butter.
I was going to say,
there's lots of butter in there.
Sounds like there's a lot of butter.
Not healthy, but very delicious. And apparently easy to find. He has restaurants on 3 continents. I'm guessing not Antarctica.
Probably not.
I'm going to guess.
Yes, and so a continent is the largest land mass that we have. And if you know your not your history, if you just know about the world, there are 7 continents. And yes, of course, there's going to be people and food and all that stuff on 6 of those continents, but Antarctica, not so much as far as...
The penguin is so delicious. No.
They have their own guide. So yes, you've got your cities, your states, your countries, and then you got your continents. And so it says, last year I traveled across 3 different continents. And maybe a lot of people have the goal, maybe not a lot, but there are people who have a goal to visit every single continent. And that can take some work.
That could
Antarctica
definitely take some work.
is quite a bit trickier to get.
It's far, but there's no Joel Robuchon restaurant. Oh, why bother? I know it must be Asia, Europe, he's French, and I'm guessing North America. Those would be the 3 continents with his restaurants there. And of course, this is over his lifetime. I believe Monsieur Robuchon, he has sadly passed away. He died a few years ago. But in his lifetime, he collected 31 stars for some of these different restaurants. A lifetime is basically just the time you are alive. The length of your life is your lifetime, all right? If you ever go to a graveyard or somewhere and they might have a person's name and says 1954 to 2012 or something like that, that is their lifetime in years. But we can also just talk about it as just the story of your life, what you did in your life. Your lifetime is basically what you did and how you were during your time being alive as a person on the planet. For example, sadly, the writer did not have success during his lifetime. During the time he was alive, he wasn't famous. Think Van Gogh also, right? Was an unsuccessful artist during his lifetime. It was only later, after he died, that suddenly he became popular and famous. Too bad. Back to the article. As the late chef himself once said, there you go, late chef because he has died, Joel Robuchon, but he once said, there is no such thing as the perfect meal. One can always do better. Ooh, I've heard artists say the same type of thing, right? There's never the perfect book or song or movie. You can always push yourself to do better.
Yes, and I like that kind of quote because it just encourages to keep working on things, like keep learning, keep trying, all that kind of stuff.
Make your mashed potatoes better than they were yesterday.
Yeah, and it says all in all, so overall, the Michelin guide is a symbol of excellence. And excellence, this word just is the noun form of the word excellent. If something is excellent, it's amazing, it excels, it goes beyond, it is better than the things around it. So the things in the Michelin guide are things that are already considered excellent. They are better than the rest. They're already great. It's the guide to excellence.
There you go. It's a very, very high standard. Yes. That's what you're going for.
And our example sentence for that is, I want to achieve excellence in everything I do. So I want to be great at everything that I do.
From fancy 3-star destinations to affordable bib gourmand spots, the guide celebrates food in all its forms. So there you go. That's a good reminder that it's not just about expensive restaurants that most of us can't afford. You can actually find some good affordable food there. And it's also just a good way of figuring out where do we go and spend our money. Because there are so many restaurants. This at least allows you to enjoy some of the best without doing a lot of work in finding them.
And it says, whether you love dining out or just enjoy learning about cooking, the Michelin guide is an exciting part of the culinary world. And yeah, I agree that this is a good thing for looking for restaurants because nowadays, yes, we have Google Maps and all this kind of stuff, but every place has lots of reviews and usually there are a lot of really good reviews. And so it's kind of hard to tell very clearly what's actually really good.
That's right. And online reviews are good, but that's people doing it. And sometimes the friends of the owner will say it's good. So at least with Michelin, these are sort of food experts and they're just giving you their best opinion without any sort of, twisting it to be favorites of someone. It's a good, honest opinion. Where is your favorite place to eat and what do you have there? That's our follow-up question.
Oh, that's actually, I don't really know. I guess, actually, you know what? In Taipei, there's a pizza place. It says, I would say I love eating at, it's called Little New York Pizza.
Okay, Little New York Pizza.
Because I enjoy their garlic knots.
Their garlic, so it's not the pizza, it's the garlic bread.
Yeah, the pizza is pretty good, but the garlic knots are really good. And they have these like deep fried cookies.
Ooh, deep fried
dough
cookies.
balls.
Oh my gosh. Well, since the pizza's made of bread, I guess the bread is the same. There you go. All right. What about you guys? What's your favorite place to eat? What do you love eating there? Or maybe talk about an experience with a Michelin restaurant. If you've been lucky enough to eat at a place with stars or just a local Bib Gourmand place, chat about that and maybe look for some in your neighborhood. All right. Thanks for joining us, guys. Bon appetit. We just wish you all the best meals that you can find. Take care of yourselves, and we'll be back soon. Bye-bye. Au revoir, since it's French.
米其林指南是卓越的象征，从高档的3星餐厅到实惠的必比登推介地点，这本指南它赞扬了各种形式的食物。除了帮助人们发现令人惊叹的菜肴跟新口味，它也鼓励着厨师不断的精进，还有挑战极限。他们也可以从像侯布雄等等名厨来获得启发。侯布雄一生中呢，在3大洲的餐厅总共摘下了31颗星。Mike 老师刚刚用到 massive 来形容 M-A-S-S-I-V-E massive 可以形容巨大的、大量的或是大规模的。好，那么单字 continent 表示洲或是大陆。老师们这时候有提到 Antarctica 就表示南极洲。下一个单字 lifetime 是名词，它表示终生、一辈子。Excellence 则是有卓越、优秀的意思。Sam 老师这时候提到这个动词 excel excel 就可以表达擅长或是善于什么什么的意思。那这边2个重点，我们进入文法时间。我们来看第一个重点是 the likes of 加上名词，则表示像什么什么一样的人事物。like 在这边当名词，表示同样或相似的人事物，常常用 the likes of 加名词来表达。那么后面常常搭配复数动词，例如 we don't hang out with the likes of him。我们不跟像他一样的人混在一起。那第二个重点是 whose 当所有的关系代名词时，它是表达什么什么的，那么后面要接名词，它所引导的形容词子句可以用来修饰或补述说明先行词。那先行词可以是人或事物。以下介绍2种用法。第一个，当先行词是特定对象时， whose 引导形容词子句是用来补述说明先行词，那 whose 前面要加逗号，这是属于非限定用法。例如 The police were talking to my neighbor whose car was stolen。 警方正在跟我的邻居谈话，他的车子被偷了。第二个，当先行词是非特定的对象时， whose 引导形容词子句是用来修饰限定先行词的范围，那 whose 前面不需要加逗号，这是限定用法。例如 The man whose car was stolen was very angry。 那名车子被偷的男子非常生气。好，那么以上的这些讲解，同学们别走开，马上回来哦。
The Michelin Guide continues to grow and change over time. In 1997, it began handing out the Bib Gourmand Award. This is given to eateries that offer great food at reasonable prices. The move aimed to make quality dining experiences accessible for people on smaller budgets. Another award, the Green Star, was introduced in 2020. It has gone to restaurants that adopt environmentally friendly practices. However, the Michelin Guide isn't just about stars. It's about celebrating food as an art form and helping people discover amazing dishes and new flavors. The trusted guide also encourages chefs to keep improving and pushing boundaries. They can be inspired by the likes of Joël Robuchon, whose restaurants in 3 different continents earned him a total of 31 stars over his lifetime. As the late chef himself once said,
"There is no such thing as the perfect meal. One can always do better."
All in all, the Michelin Guide is a symbol of excellence. From fancy 3-star destinations to affordable Bib Gourmand spots, the guide celebrates food in all its forms. Whether you love dining out or just enjoy learning about cooking, the Michelin Guide is an exciting part of the culinary world.
There is a place known as Taomi Eco-Village, which has a very unique origin story and has become a successful ecotourism spot for all to enjoy. Let's find out more about this eco-village. Taomi Eco-Village covers 18 square kilometers. It has a population of over 1,100 people. Before the 9/21 earthquake, Taomi Eco-Village used to be a landfill site. The local people mainly grew bamboo shoots for a living. However, they didn't make much money. Most young people moved away, looking for new jobs. After the earthquake, the young people returned to rebuild their homeland. They came up with the idea of changing the place. Taomi Eco-Village is located on a hill. There is a wide range of bird, butterfly, and dragonfly species. The local natural environment is great. New Homeland Foundation asked professors to give lessons to community members and train them to be local guides. They not only learned about the ecosystems, but also built a stronger sense of homeland identity. There is a carved stonefish at the entrance to the paper dome. It was built in honor of the beginning of the community transition. There were cooking classes given by local mothers. Now the community has numerous restaurants, guest houses, and campsites. Guides take tourists to see frogs at night or do other ecological activities. Now, ecotourism brings the community over 100 million NT dollars every year. Taomi Eco-Village reminds us of the importance of maintaining an eco-friendly environment. It is truly worth a visit to witness the hard work of a community to not only promote the importance of ecotourism, but also preserve the natural balance of the ecosystem.